Okay, so here we have a question which involves a number. Now when we have a number as our answer, it might be useful to store that number as an integer if it's a whole number, rather than as a string. So here, for example, the correct answer to convert the 8-bit binary number to 00100101 into denary, the answer is actually 21. We get that because we've got a 16, we've got a 4, and we've got this 1 here, so that's 21. But like I said, if you want to work on this number later on, then it's best that we actually ask for this as an integer. Why that might be useful? Well, we could have question 5, which might be change the answer of question 4 and multiply it by 5. So calculate question 4 multiplied by 5. You would only be able to do that if you had this stored as an integer. So to do that, we would just put question 4 equals int for integer, then we've got input, and then because we've opened a bracket here, we're going to close the bracket there. As this is no longer a string, we would just store the 21 as an integer. Now, what happens if the number is a decimal? So let's say, for example, the question was about how many gigabytes is a standard DVD, which is 4.7 gigabytes. In this case, you would change this to a float. A float is the word for a decimal. It's actually a floating point number, and then we could have 4.7. If the question was, for example, how many gigabytes are there in a standard DVD, or how much storage does a standard DVD offer in gigabytes? Yeah, and if the answer is 4.7, then I'll say well done. Notice here we've used float because it's a decimal number. So that's how you might use a different data type, such as integer for whole numbers or float for decimal numbers, rather than just using a string, which is what we've been using previously for these other questions here. Okay.